Call from the Grave. Scene 1. Introduction. The forest is shrouded in evening mist, distant sounds, a rustle and crack of branches. Voices of a group of teenagers can be heard. On that gloomy evening, August 30th, we, as usual, gathered in our forest camp. We were full of life, but this time the atmosphere felt different. The summer vacation was coming to an end, and with it loomed a shadow of loss. Laughter is heard, then it fades away. Suddenly, our leader, Emily, burst into tears. Scene 2. Leader's tears. The sound of sobbing and whispering. Emily, crying, "I can't. My best friend Layla died." We tried to comfort her, but soon she began recounting the horror she had endured. Scene 3. The funeral. A heavy silence falls. The sound of a slowly fading horn can be heard. At the funeral, when it came time to close the casket, Layla's mother did something unexpected. Tears streamed from her eyes. Mother, screaming, "Call, darling, call." The sounds of sobbing fade into darkness. In that moment, no one realized it was a harbinger of dark evil. Scene 4. The night call. The sound of a mobile phone ringing, interrupting the night silence. A few nights later, when Emily had almost calmed down, the phone rang. Emily, panicking. "What? It's Layla's number." On her phone screen appeared their joint photo. In horror, Emily couldn't answer. Scene 5. Growing anxiety. Night sounds follow, creaking boards underfoot. Fear kept haunting her at night. The calls became more frequent, but Emily continued to ignore them. Scene 6. Visiting Layla's mother. The sound of a sad knock on the door. In desperation, she went to Layla's mother and told her about her fears. The words she spoke were full of unexpectedness. Mother, smiling, "Leave the phone with me for the night." Not knowing what to expect, Emily agreed. Scene 7. A terrifying finale. The sound of an ambulance, gravel crunching beneath wheels. The next morning, an ambulance arrived. Layla's mother was having a heart attack and looked strange. Emily, in panic. This can't be true. The voices of medics shouting for help can be heard. Scene 8. Unending terror. The silence of the forest is filled with rustling. The kids look at each other in fear. In the call log, Emily saw something horrifying. Emily, whispering. 3 minutes. That was the duration of the call to Layla's number. Scene 9. A turn into the unknown. Silence is replaced by the chorus of crickets and the rustle of leaves behind them. Filled with panic, Emily decided to change her number. The pain inside her grew as she headed to the phone company. Emily, firmly. How long before numbers are blocked? Employee, mercilessly, at least a year. Scene 10. Fear and shadows of the forest. The sound of crunching leaves, a light breeze stirring up dust. Every evening, returning to the forest, she felt as if something unseen was watching her. Scene 11. The climax. The tension rises, masking Emily's breakdown as she loses control. That night, the forest filled with rustles, it seemed as if the trees had come alive. Emily, screaming, "Layla, where are you?" The echo of her words dissolves into the gloom. Scene 12. An end and a new beginning. Cries and rustles approach Emily. The shadows became real, and there was not a shred of mercy left in them. She knew she wasn't doomed alone, but the world around her turned dark and empty once more. Sudden silence. The sounds of nature fade, leaving only a faint whisper of wind. By reading this story, the listener is plunged into horror and experiences every moment alongside the characters. Their fear becomes the listener's fear, and the mystery of the forest becomes theirs. Banshee. In a small town nestled on the edge of dense forests and shrouded in dark legends, a fire flickered in a cozy little cafe, where residents gathered to discuss recent events and share rumors. But amidst the cheerful laughter and friendly conversations, an invisible fear lingered, a fear that a shadow of an ancient entity loomed over the town. This entity was the Banshee, a spirit whose name was whispered with trepidation and whom everyone feared with all their hearts. Jack Benson, a 20-year-old hipster with a keen sense of humor, often laughed off myths, including the legend of the Banshee. "I just need to ask her a couple of questions, and she'll run away in fright," he would say with a smirk, when his friends Emily and Todd spoke about the entity that heralded death. Emily, with her light hair and vivid imagination, always believed in ghosts and spirits. "You don't understand, Jack. This isn't just a tale," she would say, her face filled with concern. One evening, as their discussion spiraled into the depths of superstition, and the night enveloped the town in its dark veil, the friends decided to test their courage. They stumbled upon an old artifact, a dusty tome in the library that described a ritual for communicating with the Banshee. With every line they read, their laughter dwindled, soon giving way to a rising thrill of intention. They resolved to perform the ritual in an abandoned house, rumored by locals to be a place where the Banshee might manifest. That night in the dilapidated house, strange rustlings echoed as if ghosts flitted past them, and Jack, clenching his teeth, ventured through corridors filled with cobwebs. The floor creaked underfoot, each movement giving the feeling that someone was watching. Emily, again recalling the legends of the Banshee, how she appeared as an old woman with unkempt hair and an unbearably loud wail, said, "Jack, are you sure about this?" Without waiting for a response, Jack raised his voice, "Banshee, show yourself." But the only reply was the echo of his own voice. A joke, he thought, but his heart thudded quicker in his chest. Sensing unease creeping in, he attempted to shake it off. Suddenly, they heard a distant, piercing cry that could only belong to a banshee. It wasn't merely a sinister echo. It was a lament filled with sorrow, resonating deep within them, forcing even Jack to turn with apprehension. That sound is real," Todd croaked in fear, gripping his wrists. In an instant, the entire room shuddered as their laughter dissipated into nothingness. In that moment, darkness swallowed the air, and the oppressive atmosphere grew heavier. Panic engulfed them as they frantically searched for an escape, their footsteps faltering under the chilling realization of what they had awakened. Just as they began to comprehend their dire situation, the door slammed shut with a thunderous boom, trapping them in the house. Trapped inside the oppressive silence, their minds raced with the ramifications of their actions, and despair crept into the corners of their hearts. As they clung to one another, the distant sound of weeping seemed to draw closer, and the oppressive dread washed over them in waves. Emily, torn between her fear and a stubborn sense of resolve, implored, "We have to confront it. We need to know what it wants." Jack, terrified yet feeling a strange pull of defiance, cried, "Let's just end this. We need to leave." But in that moment of defiance, the wall of darkness surged towards them, a chilling cacophony of whispers, shrieks, and shadows swirling. The friends huddled together, their thoughts racing as they became engulfed by the mounting terror, drifting further from their grasp on reality. Then, in a fleeting instant, they glimpsed her. The figure emerged from the shadows, an old woman with skeletal features and matted gray hair, her eyes deep voids that seemed to pierce through their very souls. Fear gripped them as they stared into her face. "Why do you disturb me?" the banshee rasped, her voice echoing through their minds like a hammer striking a bell. The space around them turned colder, and soon they could feel the icy breath of the banshee crawling on their skin. What do you want?" Todd stammered, unable to mask his fear. "Your lives are forfeit," she intoned softly, her expression a grotesque mask of longing and sorrow. "You've summoned me, and now you cannot escape your fate." Their hearts raced with panic. Jack shouted, "No! We won't let you take us!" Each of his words seemed to momentarily halt the impending doom, but the banshee merely smiled, a ghastly grin that revealed a reality even darker than their fears. "Only the brave may survive," she said, her voice echoing throughout the chamber, filled with an unending sorrow. "You are lost." With a mix of desperation and defiance rising within them, they turned and fled deeper into the house, their breaths quickening, their feet pounding against the floorboards as they desperately sought a way out. But the shadows followed, shrieking with every step, wrapping around them like tightening vines. The banshee's lament seemed to echo through the walls, vibrating with a dread that resonated within their very bones. They were lost in a labyrinth of terror, one path leading only to more darkness. Stumbling into the remnants of an old living room, they found a decrepit mirror. Jack caught a glimpse of their wild expressions, fear and determination etched into their faces. "We can't run forever," he rasped, glancing at his friends. "We need to confront this." Emily, tears streaming down her face, shook her head. "What if we can't? What if there's no escape?" "Listen," Todd said, trying to hold on to hope. "We have to face her together. She thrives on our fear." With a deep breath, they held hands, forming a circle of support. "Let's confront her," Jack urged. "If she feeds on fear, then we must defy her." As they steadied their breaths, a calmness settled over them, a strange certainty that they had the strength to fight this darkness. "Banshee!" Jack called, his voice firm, no longer trembling. "We're not afraid of you. Come face us." A chilling wind swept through the room, and the banshee appeared before them anew, her form shimmering in the reflection of the cracked mirror. "You think you can challenge me?" she hissed, her voice as sharp as glass. "We know who we are," Todd proclaimed, summoning every ounce of courage he possessed. "We are stronger than your fear. We will not be taken." In that moment, the banshee released a heart-wrenching wail, a sound that shattered the silence of the night outside. The walls trembled, the air thickened, and a force unlike any they had ever felt rushed at them, determined to crush their newfound resolve. Yet together they stood, their hands clasped tighter, letting the warmth of their bond push back against the chill. "Together, stick together," Emily shouted, her spirit igniting a fire within them. With the combined strength of their friendship, they pushed forward, confronting the banshee with their unity, a barrier against despair. In a surging wave of light, they felt their collective power envelop them, pushing against the tendrils of darkness that reached for them. "You have no power over us!" Jack yelled, the confidence in his voice rivaling the banshee's haunting cries. As the energy around them cascaded, the banshee shrieked in frustration. "You cannot escape your fate!" But now they knew. They could weave their own destinies. With every ounce of strength and belief that welled up within them, they pressed on, slowly forcing the banshee back into the corner of the room. The darkness that surrounded her began to crumble like old parchment, revealing the light behind it. With one final scream that echoed through the depths of night, the banshee dissipated into a shadow, the air clearing as if a great weight had been lifted. The friends collapsed to the floor, panting heavily, hearts racing. As darkness faded and moonlight streamed through the windows, they realized they had survived. They were alive, more alive than ever before, united in a way that transcended fear. Jack, Emily, and Todd emerged from the house, standing under the bright moonlight illuminating their path. The banshee may have once haunted their thoughts, but they understood now that courage and friendship had triumphed over darkness. "No more legends," Jack declared, staring at his friends. "From this day forward, we take our fate into our own hands." United against fear, they stepped back toward town, where shadows once threatened to consume them. Beneath the brilliant tapestry of stars, they embraced the night, knowing that together they would face whatever lay ahead. The story of the banshee would be whispered in town long after that night. But in the hearts of Jack, Emily, and Todd, they held the truth. Fear could never conquer the bonds of friendship, and they would shine brightly against the darkest shadows,